The Enterprise is charting 6 star systems that make up the Argolis cluster. Geordi thinks the name 3 of 5 suits Hugh. And when Guinan scored 2 touches last week, she fenced well enough, but today she keeps letting Picard inside. Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Seventh Rule with Sirach Lofton.
Hello, hello.
My name is Ryan T. Husk, and today we're doing a review of Star Trek The Next Generation, Season 5, Episode 23, you guessed it, I Borg, written by Renee Echeverria, directed by Robert Lederman. This was May 9th, 1992. Where were you? You guys are in luck. We have you remember where you were. We have a very special guest, you guys. He knows exactly where he was at the time in front of his TV watching his episode. It's Hugh himself, Jonathan del Arco. How are you today, sir?
Hey, how are you guys?
Awesome.
Great.
Awesome.
It's
so
funny.
good to have you.
I was just thinking before I came on, not where I was when it aired, but where I was when I auditioned for it, which was like 2 months prior.
That's perfect.
And I was trying
Tell
to
us about
remember, because I've never talked about this, because who talks about like when they audition for something necessarily? But I remember I was in this dumpy apartment. I had moved to LA from New York like a year prior. And I had literally like a futon on the floor, and I was going to go to premiere of a movie I had done, some little part, and I got the script for I Borg and got completely engrossed in reading it, but I had to leave. So I left, went to this thing, came back and stayed up all night reading it and working on it. And I had no VCR, no TV, no VHS even of Best of Both Worlds. So I had no clue. None what a Borg was, other than what was on the page. And it was so well written that you didn't need to have the reference. It was all on the page, right? It was clear. And I remember I had like all morning to prepare for it, and I made all these decisions of how to do the part and how he should be and how he should dress and all this shit. And I was just thinking, like, I had like literally nothing. I had no furniture. I had nothing, but this great role came along, and I don't know how I was lucky enough to get it.
Well, obviously because of your performance, which was, A1 in this episode. Do you remember the scene at all that you had to audition for? Was it the Picard kind of climax in this episode? Was it one of the Geordi scenes?
It was not the Geordi scene. Definitely the scene with Picard in the ready room where I try to figure out. Oh no, there was a Geordi scene. It's the first scene where I'm kind of a badass Borg, full on Borg. So they had that one was the first one where I'm like, you will be assimilated, and Geordi's like, that's nice. I just fed you, whatever he says to me, like nice play, buddy, or whatever. It was that one, and then it was the one where he softens and he has become human and doesn't want Geordi to die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, you talked about the script jumping out at you, and the episode jumps out at me as being, one of the exceptional episodes of this series because of the writing. Renee
amazing.
Echeverria, does a fantastic job of really playing on our emotional, strings in this episode. Can you tell me, was that the thing that really interested you about the role? Like, is that what the meat of getting into this humanity of this person?
Yeah, absolutely. To be honest, I had moved to LA after I'd lost a partner to AIDS, and he had gone through a period of dementia where he couldn't know who anybody, didn't know who anybody was. It was this very innocent person emerged when the dementia happened. Like all the personality traits of this person were like gone, and what was left was kind of this childlike wonder and incredible openness. And that's the voice in my head that I heard, was that person. So it had a lot of emotional punch for me because I'd just gone through that experience and like was a caretaker for this person. And it just really, like, it was very, very, very easy for me to slip right into that which I had watched, right, and had all this personal stakes for me personally, right? So everything that was happening for my character in this role was incredibly internal and helped by the fact that I was completely covered in rubber, whatever, like I didn't have that much, I didn't have that many options for physicality. So it was like restricted, which made it for filmmaking, it's the best, right? Because then it's all just happening here and then in your eyes, right? So yeah, it wasn't a hard role for me to play. It was I just slipped right into it. It's really kind of amazing, to have beautiful. That experience. Yeah.
Had you ever seen or heard of Star Trek? I mean, you'd heard of it. Did you have any knowledge of it, or were you just saying, you know what, this is a role, I'm gonna knock it out?
No, I tested for the role of Wesley when I was living in New York.
Okay, so maybe you can tell us a little bit about that. Did you actually meet Gene Roddenberry?
Yeah, I never met Gene. When I was in New York, we would test for things, or when you're a young actor in New York and doing Broadway and stuff, you get we used to get a lot of opportunities to test for things in LA. So it would be like they would put you on tape and they would send it off. And I got pretty far. I mean, my tape went to, I'm sure Gene saw it. And, when you're testing for a role, it's down to like you and 3 other people or whatever. So I was one of those 3 or 4 or 5, or whatever the number was of the people that were up for the role of Wesley. And when the series aired, I was like too pissed to watch it. It was like, I'm not watching that. So I had never, but as a kid, I was a huge fan of the original series. So when I moved to the U.S. in the 1970s as an immigrant from Uruguay, I learned English watching TV, and one of the shows I watched was Star Trek. I would like have it on late at night, and I would just watch TV all the time. And that, like, in 6 months, I learned English watching TV, and Star Trek was one of my rotations of shows that I would watch. So I always wanted to be a Vulcan. You know what I mean? Like I had like the things I wanted to do on Star Trek, which I've never done. But yeah, the Borg, I didn't know what they were because they didn't get developed until the series had already, gone into season whatever it was 4 or 3 when the cliffhanger happened.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned you hadn't seen the Borg, and you get the job, and you obviously killed in the audition. Then they get you for a wardrobe makeup session, and what are you thinking when you're sitting there?
Oh my God. I am thinking, I just realized I'm thinking what actually happened was I awakened to my claustrophobia. And I was like, oh shit, I'm claustrophobic. This is going to be a big problem. It was rough. I mean, I remember they didn't tell me what the costume was, and they didn't say, by the way, you're going to get into this like full body suit, and then we're going to put another one over that, and then we're going to start adding pieces on you, which you're not going to be able to remove, like because the costume was made of other pieces. They didn't make one just for me; too expensive for a guest star, I guess. So I was covered in parts of other Borg that had been used in Best of Both Worlds. So they were just trying to fit like a calf and so I couldn't just take it off. Like if I had to go to the bathroom or if I had like a panic attack, it was on. And I didn't know it. I remember them zipping me into the bodysuit, and I'm like, should I go to the bathroom? They're like, do you want to go to the bathroom today? And I was like, what?
Today?
Like, oh my God.
Yeah. Which at not my age now, that would definitely not work. They would need to really have that would definitely not work. But at that age, you're like, I could hold it for 10 hours or whatever. But yeah, no, it was pretty intense. The wardrobe was the hardest. Like that was it was torture. I mean, the bald cap came all the way to here. So there was no air coming in there. And then it was all the way to my back. And then all that rubber stuff was on top of it. So I had about 35 pounds, like the top part was like 35 pounds that was digging into my hips and my back. I mean, it was pretty brutal.
So you lost 15 pounds that week, basically.
Probably. Probably. I know my back was completely jacked after in my
you must
neck.
Be soaking wet, like dripping. You know what I mean?
Dripping wet at the end of the day. When we did the the other 2 episodes, the follow-ups, not that we're going to talk about them, but we had a ton of stuntmen that were in the same thing passing out. Because we shot that other one, we shot it in summer. Yeah, here we are. It does get over 100 in LA, right?
Yeah.
And it was hotter than hell. And I was used to it by then. I would like take because the rubber would come off the headpiece, and I would just flip it over during my breaks and just get a bunch of air, and then Michael Westmore would have to glue me back in. Yeah.
I love Michael Westmore though. That dude is a saint.
Oh my God.
Did you have any thoughts on the cast that you worked with? Was anybody particularly easy or fun to work with, or was it just season 5? Everybody's just professional, getting their work done.
It was great. The one that absolutely stands out in my mind is Whoopi, because she was extraordinarily kind. I mean, I was a fan of Whoopi, so I'm like, oh shit, I'm gonna work with Whoopi. Like, I have a scene with Whoopi. Like, what kid gets that opportunity? She just won the Oscar or something, and she comes in beaming. I mean, she's just a radiant person, and she's like, "Look at you, aren't you cute?" Whatever. We had this exchange, and then she insisted that we do my coverage first, which is the filming part where you're the one on camera. And she was like, no. The kids and a lot of stuff, get him covered. So she insisted on that, and like made my day to like be so kind and like so generous. You know, I love that scene too. And then when we were done, she's like, come back and see me after you get out of your makeup. So I like got out of all my stuff, and I went and said hi to her.
And she didn't recognize you one bit.
She was like, "Oh my God, you're so cute!" Yeah, it was great. It was great. So she was great. Brent was hilarious. Gates was very friendly. Patrick, obviously LeVar. I remember I was dying and drinking a Coca-Cola like at 8 a.m, and he's like, you shouldn't be doing that. He's like, that's really not good for you. I'm like, but it's like coffee. He's like, no, it's like Coca-Cola. He was very like, LeVar was very like dad with me, you know, like, you shouldn't be drinking that crap. So yeah, everybody was great, and nobody was jaded. You know, I feel like, I guess the show was just hitting its stride with the fans, you know? So I don't think I'd gone anybody's head. You know what I mean? Everybody was very friendly and really fun atmosphere to be a part of, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, this is like getting towards the end of the season, and people are, they've already put in 20 something episodes so far.
Yeah.
Mike, I wanted to ask you about, you know, because you're coming in as somebody who's disliked by all the characters.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? Basically
like, oh
yeah. And was there any sense of that like carried over, or was it just only on camera? Like,
no, not
the
at
friction.
All. I mean, you know, the truth is they already knew that they were going to have to fall in love with me. Right. So that was already in their head, I'm sure. And you couldn't, the thing about the character is you couldn't hate him. It was very difficult. Even when he was being a Borg, he was incredibly cute, right? Mm-hmm. Like, it was designed in such a way to be like, oh, but you don't want to hate him, right? I mean, that's the whole point of the episode, is like, how do you make an enemy? How do you make an enemy, you know, be vulnerable, right? So yeah, that's no, I didn't have any experience like that. Everybody was really great. As a matter of fact, everyone on the lot, when I got into wardrobe and they drove me for approval because they were too busy to come to like the state to see me, they put me in a golf cart and took me, and like crew members from other shows started coming out and be like, the Borg are back. Like, they were like flipping out. Like, the Borg were back. And I was like, I don't know what just happened, because I have no idea what this is, but apparently this is a very popular, you know, creature race, or whatever you want to call it.
It's like Thin Lizzy said, the Borg are back in town.
Yeah.
So it's no secret, Jonathan, that this is an A+ performance by you. Really freaking phenomenal, which is why they bring it back in subsequent episodes. And in Picard, really happy about that. But I don't know what was in your head when you were actually shooting the episode. Was there a particular moment or line where you thought, I totally nailed that one? That's they're going to love this one. Was there a moment there where you're like, I got this one?
Yeah, because I get like emotional when I even think about it. Even now, which is like crazy. But when he says, "We are all still alone," to Whoopi, yeah, and she's like, "What?" You know, like, we are alone. Like the concept that this person understands loneliness, right? That's the key to that character. Is I think the reason people respond to it is that we all experience loneliness, either as children, definitely as we get older and we are senior citizens. You end up alone. Like the old saying, you come into the world alone, you leave alone. I think loneliness it's a big part of the human experience, and I think it's just such a trigger for people, right? And the character was a classic case of isolation and loneliness, seeking friendship, connection. He'd been disconnected from his family, So yeah, that line, "We are also lonely," is the one that I was like, there's something really powerful happening. You know what I mean? You could, Sirach, when you're doing a series or a play or whatever work you're doing, when you're doing something that's like, ooh, you get the goosebumps and you're like, this is special. And it has to do with like so many things that are out of your control, like the writing, who you're acting with, the moment, how prepared you are, how you're clicking into the character. It's like one of those knowing moments. You're like, well, this is going to last. Like this is a moment in my work that is going to permeate throughout my life. And it 100% has. I mean, I'm still talking about a job I did for a week, in 1992, just bananas, but
yeah, but
that's art,
what I think you did very well as a guest star in this episode. The scenes that you had were opposite a lot of heavy hitters in this. You're up against Whoopi Goldberg in a scene, right?
I mean, bananas. You're like, what? Yeah.
You got Patrick Stewart over here dressing you down as a Borg, which is my favorite scene. I just enjoyed
I love that scene
whole
too.
trickery.
You got LeVar Burton, Kunta Kinte.
Yeah,
these are heavy hitters.
Yeah, you shine in a personal way with each one of them. I felt like you make a connection with each character. And in a way that is almost like, it's funny because the resistance is futile aspect is actually coming from them. They're resisting you.
Yes, they are. Yeah.
And,
they're the ones that are like, no.
Yes, they're like, no.
You are a problem. You are a bad problem. I can't love you, right?
Yeah, I can't love you. I can't accept you. I can't even see you as anything but, a non-human or somebody that doesn't deserve rights, essentially.
I mean, thematically, it's like through time and space, right? These are the things that constantly come up in human nature, right? The othering of another group, another race. It's kind of like a human experience, right? To be like, not them, they're scary, or they're a threat, or they are not one of us. Like othering,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I thought that Renee did a great job with the language in the othering, because he did things like using the word "it."
Yes, that was the big one.
He says, "Feed it, feed it." I think feed it.
Yeah.
And then even later on, it says, "That's what you things do." Was also one of the themes.
Yeah.
So it was this whole like objectifying and
dehumanizing.
Dehumanizing. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I thought you did a fantastic job, because there was just it's funny the turnaround, because when Guinan hates you, right? You kind of like, oh well, that's it. End of the episode.
Executive producer Rick Berman.
At that point, it's like, well, if you didn't win her over, I guess what else are we gonna do here, right?
Yeah.
And so when that hate that Guinan shows really sets you up very well in those scenes, you know what I mean? Actually, everyone's hate sets you up when you come into the scene without that level of hate, more of a condition.
Yeah, he doesn't have any of that. Like that's the thing about him is I don't even think he understands hate. It's not a part of,
right.
Which what's interesting about the Borg is like why they fascinate people is in some ways, they're considered evil or like all this stuff, but in actuality, they're totally in community. They're just like, right? They're like totally in community. There's no difference between any of them. They're very equal in a way. And the things they're doing are for furthering their knowledge, right? So it's challenging for people to like look at a Borg as, a non-threatening, obviously lack of individuality is hugely problematic for any human, right? That's the most frightening thing is that's going to be taken away from you. I would say that they're evil in that sense, that not they're evil, but their actions are like anti-individuality, which is not great.
Well, that's what the Borg do. They remove choice. They remove your choice, right? It's like correct. You don't resist because you don't have a choice to any other.
It's very, very frightening. So they represent a whole other frightening element of humanity and the very human reaction of the Enterprise to be prejudiced, afraid, othering is like a natural knee-jerk reaction to a threat, right? So it's a classic human conflict, right?
Which is why this episode is so fantastic. Well performed, well written. A little bit about the director, Robert Letterman.
Yeah.
Any words about your experience working with him?
So he was amazing. So he was one of the editors on the show, and this was his first time directing.
Okay.
And I actually love working with directors that are editors because they 100% know exactly what they want to get. They're like, I know what I need in the editing room. Can you do this? You know what I mean? Yes. He was great. He was a terrific director. I really, really enjoyed him. I don't know that he got to do that many after that, but I remember it was his first episode, out of the editing bay. I don't think he edited it as well. He may have because he was one of the regular editors. I liked him a lot.
I thought some of those shots were film worthy. Like they actually.
He's great.
Film
beautifully. There's that shot of Hugh looking at the fish. I love that where he's like he's looking at the little fish in a tank, like feeling like he's that fish, right?
He's he's the fish in that fish bowl. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Hey, so I looked up Robert, the director. You're right. One other episode after this one, and that's it. 2 in total in his career. Nuts. It's in the 7th season of Next Generation, but he edited Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, Enterprise.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, so we're almost out of time here. We just have a couple more minutes, Jonathan.
Sure.
But can you tell us what's going on in your world? What's new?
Oh, cool. Yeah. I wrote a children's book, which I'm really excited about. Wow. It's called Freddy the Alien, and it's my immigration story and its trajectory into becoming an actor and ending up on sci-fi and Star Trek. So it's like the alien idea being that this immigrant kid feels like an outsider and an alien and then becomes one, right? So I wrote this with a friend of mine who's an educator named Trisha DeFazio, and we found this amazing illustrator that named Audrey Navarro Alvarado who works on Star Trek Online. So she's part of the Star Trek family, and we're really, really close to being done and going to print, and we're gonna launch it in August, and I'll be doing like book signings and stuff around the country. I think the fans are gonna love it because it's not Star Trek, but it's my story, so it's got like that line, that Star Trek through line in it. So I'm super excited about that. And then I did a film during the pandemic that is just now starting to kind of get some traction. It's called The Grotto. It'll be available, I think, to rent on YouTube, on Apple and Amazon, I think, in July at some point. So
what's it called again?
Just The Grotto.
The Grotto. Cool.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what's going on. And
that's not about Playboy, the Playboy Mansion, is it?
No, actually.
All right. Okay.
No, it's actually kind of a spiritual film in a way. It was directed by Joanna Gleason and written by her, and it's about the Grotto. It's a bar in the desert called the Grotto, based on the Grotto in Lourdes, where the Virgin Mary appeared. So it has a lot of spirituality in it, but it's I would say like a romantic kind of dramedy is what it is. So yeah, I love it. It's a really great little film, but I'm really, really excited about the book. It's going to be available to the fans. We're planning a really big, fun thing to do. I'll be posting about it as we get it more put together, but there's some really fun fan related stuff I'm going to do with it. And I'm also going to be at the Star Trek convention in Vegas in August.
Can't wait for that.
Yeah.
But this is really cool because it feels like it's such a story that's so close to your heart. It's relevant. It's a little bit of sci-fi, so that's fun for the kids, but it has a real human theme. It must have really felt fulfilling to write this out and finish it and look back on it and say, yes, this is what I want to put out there.
It is. I'll tell you, I've been working on it for over 10 years. I wrote it as a pilot first. It's about my childhood. So it was a pilot, and then it became, someone said, make a screenplay out of it. I wrote a screenplay, and then someone wanted to make an animated series. So I wrote an animated script, and none of them took off. None of them. And this friend, Trisha, was like, let's write it. Let's work on it together. She's an educator. And she's like, I know like what children's books sort of need in order for them to be educational and have like a value. And she goes, let's make it a children's book. And I'm like, what? It had never even occurred to me. So we did it, and we're just putting it out there. I think I'm super proud of it and really excited. And the timing could not be more like on point because of everything that's happening with immigration right now. And the othering of, the othering of immigrant children. I mean, we're not even talking about immigrant adults. I'm just talking about innocent children, like the othering and the bullying that's happening to immigrant kids and migrant kids is disgusting. And I hope the book, which is written in English but has a lot of Spanish phrases in it as well, so it's kind of bilingual, so a kid can like pick it up and understand it, maybe pick up some language at the same time. So I'm hoping it's like really a hopeful book for anyone that feels like they don't belong, for whatever reason, because of the their origin, their race, whatever gender whatever it is that makes a kid feel that they are not okay and that they don't belong. The story is about saying like, actually, that thing that makes you think you don't belong is going to be the thing that makes you really, really great, right? As an adult, right? Whatever that means to you, for me, it was ending up in Star Trek and being an actor, getting to do what I do. But it was because I was different that I got to do all that,
It's fantastic. So, it's amazing.
Yeah. So I think the Trek fans are totally going to get it.
Oh yeah, I do too. I think it's it's kind of the opposite of what you said in this episode about being alone. You said we are alone. The idea is to make people feel like they're not.
Correct.
And the more we can do that, then the more people feel like there's a community, that they're embraced, that they're loved, that they're recognized.
And that's why Trek fans and the Trek world always has that, that sense of like, we may not belong out there, but in here, we all have a common, positive thing to connect to, So,
ain't that the truth?
Yeah.
Well, Jonathan, this is really cool. We hope everybody can follow you on social media or be in Las Vegas or wherever it is that you might be around, where you can make your announcements and do your book launches and things like that. Can't wait to hear more about this, but we really, really appreciate you taking the time to hang out with us today. This is a great episode.
You were really amazing, fun. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
This was a treat. Thank you so much.
All right, everybody, guys. Stick around. We will be right back with more on the 7th Rule.